Hi everyone, this is Joseph at Kirkpatrick Price, and we're all working from home these days and trying to stay busy and productive. And one of the things that we've been encouraging our customers to do is if your day-to-day work has been disrupted and you've got some ability to go back and do some of the projects that you didn't get to, or you want to work on an important initiative that would actually serve you very well today and in the future, why not go back and check your security configurations in the cloud? Maybe we migrated last year to the cloud. We've introduced some new cloud applications in our workplace, in our environment, and we just didn't take the time to make sure that our configurations were secure and those environments are hardened. And so we want to show you a way that you could do that now. It's a great way to work remotely and get those important checks done. I'm here today with our Vice President of Security Services, Randy Bartels. And Randy, we're going to use AWS as the example today, but if you were going to go back and check your configuration, what's an important independent industry benchmark that's out there that we could use for this?
Really, the single source that everybody turns to, government, vendors themselves, industry, various industries, healthcare and merchant, and all the retail and all these different, is really the Center for Internet Security. They have probably dozens, at least, if not 100 or more, different benchmarks on various technologies. And you can see here that we have the Center for Internet Security Amazon Web Services Foundation's benchmark, which is really the gold standard for securely configuring your AWS account and various services within it. And so, just a quick overview, and this is applicable to really all of the CIS benchmarks. They all follow this concept of level 1, level 2. Level 1, these are things that through consensus, and all of these benchmarks are made by consensus group, right? Through consensus, everybody in the group agrees that level 1 items provide great security benefit with very little impact to functionality, if any at all, right? And so these are the good practices. These are the best practices that you hear people talk about when it comes to properly securing a thing. In this case, AWS. Level 2 items in the benchmark are going to be additional security benefit. They may negatively impact functionality in some cases, but they will provide additional security benefit. The difference between level 1 and level 2, level 1, these are things everybody says, you really should have a good reason not to do them. And level 2, you probably need a reason to do at level 2, but you will get additional security benefit out of it. It is also likely, depending on which, what forms of compliance you're having to chase, whether it's credit card security, PCI, right, or HIPAA, or some of the, that you may need to dip into the level 2 from time to time, but certainly not implement them universally like would be expected in level 1.
What I love about these CIS benchmarks is that they give you step-by-step instructions about how to check your settings, and they even provide you the command line interface instructions in order to check your configurations that way too. So it's a great way to teach yourself how to find these things and look for this. It allows you to get intimate with your environment and really understand how it is configured. But doing it manually will take a very long time. And one of the tools that we use in order to automate this and get the results faster is a tool called Prowler. And so, Randy, if somebody was going to use Prowler, what kind of things would they have to consider in order to configure their environment to run the tool?
So yeah, you bet. So the first thing, is to head over to the Prowler website that's located on GitHub and written by a person, written and maintained by a person, Tony Blix. And so head over there, and you'll get all the instructions that you need on how to set this up, right? You'll see all the requirements that need to be met in order to do it. And how to get access to the source code and configure your AWS command line to work properly, and as well all of the security permissions. So, for instance, you'll need a user account or an EC2 instance role that has been configured with the security audit permissions, and then also to enable many of the additional checks. You should take a look at this JSON policy here to implement some additional read-only permissions of various services within AWS, so that Prowler can do all the things that it can do. And so, you'll do that under your IAM, console within AWS. You'll manage the policy here under policies, and then you'll configure your role. We would recommend running this as an EC2 instance role to avoid the AWS access key, needing to have a command line with static passwords enabled on your Windows subsystem for Linux or your Mac OS device or whatever. Go ahead and run this from a purpose-built instance within EC2. So that you can more securely manage the access that Prowler needs.
And when you do
go ahead, Joseph.
When you do run it, show us an example of the output and some things that people might take action on.
You bet. So let's go over to our EC2 instance here, and we've properly permissioned this with an instance role, and you can see we've already also installed Prowler and have that up and running. And so let's first just take a look at what some of the command line options are that we have. We'll point out two here that make it very easy to review the results and work on them. The first is to sort the numbers to make this easier, to make it 1.01 instead of 1.1. And then the second option is to change the mode, and we want to make a CSV output file. And you can see here that the data in this mode will go out to standard out, and the progress will be on standard error. So when we run this, we just want to use a bash redirection. So we'll run Prowler -n $M CSV. We'll redirect standard out to our results file. And we'll just let that run. And so it's very quick. It'll go through in just a matter of a couple of minutes and run all of those additional checks, all of the extras, all the CIS benchmarks. And so, in the interest of time, we have some previous results from earlier that we've loaded up in Excel and set up some filters on them. So we're filtering. We just want to look at the things that we need to fix. And we are looking only at level 1 and at the extras. Now, why the extras when this is primarily a CIS benchmark thing? Because there are some additional security benefit in there, right? So now looking at this, you can tell that this account needs some work. The root account was used just less than a day ago. The auditor account has access keys that haven't been rotated ever. There is no password policy on all of these things here, right? There's no password policy configured, and so on and so forth. And this goes through all of the 4 sections of the AWS benchmark, and you can, again, lots of work to do here. But coming down here, one of those extras is very interesting, and we always look for this one when we do our audits of AWS environments. Is there user data that is included in EC2 instances that contain sensitive information? What we will often find is that AWS access keys have been configured because somebody isn't aware of using an EC2 instance role to permission their EC2 instance to do things, right? So let's go over and let's take a look at our EC2 instance, and let's see what it triggered on. And so let's look at our user data, and sure enough, I have some access keys that have been put into here, right? And it was so that I could enable during my bootstrapping process, right? So that I could copy over some information that I need from S3. We see that frequently in getting an EC2 instance brought up for the first time, right? And so using the EC2 instance role method, this information here is just not necessary. It can be stricken from the user data from the boot script, and we can use an EC2 instance role instead.
This is a great illustration of the kind of findings that you get out of these security checks using Prowler. And if you need any help setting this up in your environment or interpreting the results, we're ready to help you here at Kirkpatrick Price. Also, if you want to go back and do any cloud security configuration analysis for Azure or Google Cloud or whatever your environment is, we would love to help you with that. This is a great project to take on right now because it can be completely worked on remotely. And so if you need any assistance at all, please reach out to us at kirkpatrickprice.com. Thanks for joining, Randy.
Thank you.